And when we look at edge use case versus big, massive data center and public cloud, does it have any impact on developers' workflow? Operators, that doesn't matter, but for developer workflow, when you talk about the different edge site people are working on, no, it doesn't matter because the same portable, this native architecture, cloud native application, so it doesn't really matter whether you're targeting an edge use case or whether you're looking at the big data center.
Well, I think that's the point, is that edge isn't typically, it doesn't come with the same ease, the same developer ease as just the regular central data center cloud native workflow. So that's what we're looking to achieve here. We're looking to weave those two together to make that the same simple flow, right? And we're making edge accessible to more developers. And as I mentioned earlier, we're solving this problem for them of how can I distribute my application and data and push it to the edge. And we're creating a solid layer for them to do that.
Give some use cases, examples of edge in the modern world, which Akamai is already serving.
So the modern world already, right, we can look at like the financial industry wanting to do security and transactions. I already touched on AI inferencing. So for gaming, especially in underserved locations that are underserved by internet infrastructure, where either they just have to deal with extreme latency to be connected to the gaming world, or they just quit, they just don't play the game. So now we can bring that. Pretty much any use case that really requires data localization. So this is another one. Let's talk about security and data sovereignty, right? Where you can actually better secure that by fencing it even closer to where people are doing it. You can make your decisions, send home only what you need to send home, but there's even less for that to travel. There's less hops, less networks, less rooms for interception, so it can be even more localized. And then another example I keep liking to bring up, because this is a real one that I've come across, where milliseconds matter, is things like crypto trading. Okay, so if you can do so much more of this at the edge, if you can make quick decisions and be very, very reactive at the edge and not have to travel all the way back, this is a huge difference. And the expectation for this is getting much higher. And honestly, we can blame Akamai for that largely, because 25 years ago, Akamai invented this thing called CDN. Enterprises were the only ones who could do anything with it back then. The rest of us had very bad dial-up internet, and we were used to it being slow. Well, fast forward, something like a CDN is so accessible. It's as simple as I'll point my NS records to your name servers and then just click the on button. So even a mom and pop shop is behind the CDN, and now their end users expect that level of performance. So milliseconds matter all the way around, and before we know it, microseconds are going to matter. In fact, they already do when we look at disk operations. So those are the common use cases so far, but we're just going to see more and more and more. And I also touched on the Argo workflows example. Data pipelines. The edge is the first area where you're going to be consuming so much of this data right then and there. So how much of it can you just handle there versus having to push it all the way back? Think of all the network you have to go back and forth. Are you going to process it, and then does it need to go all the way back there again? Do you need to hop over to another cloud? We're packaging it where it needs to be.